my fellow freedom Southern thinkers. This is All News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy Mangrove, South Florida. And today's date is Saturday, September 23rd, 2017. The fall has begun. Yeah, cool down just a little bit. Still warm, but not as muggy. And plus, I'm at CJ's Java Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, Suite 1, along the New River of Fort Lauderdale, southwest section of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. I always try to use that word, St. Andrews, but it's Andrews Avenue Bridge. It's just one of those bad habits I have. But, yeah, so I'm just going to probably take this one real brief. I'm not going to go too insane or too long. And, of course, you have they're still talking about people doing the kneel down to the national anthem. Boring. Well, all I got to say is this. Please, folks, this is more of a waste of energy. We know about social injustices and all that, but if you're going to do the kneel down, it's more of a boring stance. I've been telling folks for years after the national anthem, it's okay to chant out, say yes to freedom, no to tyranny, and death to New World Order. That is more spiritually inspired than just do the lame duck, lame puke kneel down like I'm angry and I gotta do a prayer. Please. Now, I'm not being criticizing, condemning Mr. Kaepernick and anyone else, but like I said before, it's been doing it in the wrong avenues. It's always you get more methodical when you do a form of protest. Get that positive energy, not being duped. So on the other hand, of course, there's a claim at CNN, the Comedy News Network said NFL should fire SOB's anthem protesters. Well, we don't know how accurate that is, but sorry, Mr. Trump, President Trump, if that's the case, with all due respect, that's why they have contracts. Contractual grievances is not at will. Remember, it only works on the Apprentice shows. All right, so just that claim. But on the other hand, I'm going to be really focusing on what I read yesterday from a gentleman. Actually, before that, excuse me, I made a mistake. I just been informed that former Corrosion Conformity vocalist Eric EYCKE died. EYCKE dies, and looks like he passed away. He did the debut album, Eye for an Eye. It came around 84, if I'm correct, before they got signed to Death Records, which is considered Metal Blade Records. Looks like he's going through hospice with various maladies. Looks like he has some health issues. And it is very morose, I would say. And they have re-released it in 2012 through Candlelight Records. And, of course, 6 songs with Mike singing. Both titles have been out of print. The CAC said we're sad to learn the passing of one-time COC vocalist Eric EYCKE, whose broad musical knowledge shaped the band's early identity. Rest in peace. Of course, he should be forever free. I want to add that link to this because you can check it out yourselves. It's just very morose regardless, even though they may have issues and so forth. But people have to understand when you do your contribution for the band what it is back then, it's always a part of their legacy. And so, like I said, it's just morose. And remember, my friends, please invest in your health. It is essential. So, I said enough of that. May his soul be forever free. And so, actually, I got this from Eric Schmitter, and he's involved with Florida's Fully Informed Jury Association, and it talks about the Supreme Court. Florida Supreme Court says police may detain innocent passengers, and as he posted this yesterday, and it says here, Florida Supreme Court says police may detain innocent passengers not suspected of any wrongdoing can be held and questioned by police during any traffic stop under Florida High Court ruling. Passengers and automobiles that are pulled over for minor traffic infractions are not free to leave the scene. the Supreme Court ruled Wednesday. The justice insisted that it did not violate constitutional rights to hold a passenger suspect of any wrongdoing for a reasonable time. The High Court came to this conclusion after the evaluation the January 29th, 2015 traffic stop in which a car with a faulty taillight was pulled over in Gainesville for allegedly rolling through a stop sign. Gregory Presley was one of the two passengers in the stopped vehicle questioned by Officer John Pundak about who he was and where they're going. Presley bristled after Officer Pundak began asking if he'd been drinking. That's a stupid ass question. If you can drink water, it's considered illegal too. Asking what the problem with that would be. He says, "I don't know, man." Officer Pundak replied, "This is a traffic stop and you're part of it. So we're hanging out. That's all there is to it." "Well, just talking, man. You can't go anywhere at the moment because you're part of the stop, that's all." A record check showed that Presley was on probation and forbidden to consume alcohol, and he was arrested on the spot for the violation. At trial, Presley moved to suppress the evidence against him on the grounds that was obtained from an illegal detention. Florida appellate courts split on the question. That's interesting. So right there, you split on the question. Let's check that out. So the High Court resolved the issue by agreeing with prosecutors that the officer's safety trumped a passenger's right. The intrusion upon personal liberty is de minimis because the method of transport has already been lawfully interrupted by virtue of the stop. The passenger has already been stopped by virtue of the driver's lawful detention, and routine traffic stops are brief in duration. Chief Justice Jorge Labarga wrote for the court. The court pointed out that the passenger cannot be detained any longer than the amount of time it takes to check the driver's license and write him a ticket, unless there is a reason to suspect the passenger is involved in the crime. Detention is permissible for the limited period of time because it allows law enforcement officers to safely do their job, accomplishing the mission of the stop, and not to be risked due to potential violence from passengers or other vehicles on the roadways. Justice Labarga concluded, when the natural consequence of this ruling might be to assume that entire bus full of people could be held against their will because the driver failed to signal a lane change. The High Court was unwilling to go so far. In reaching this holding, we expressly declined to address whether law enforcement may detain passengers during a traffic stop of a common carrier or a vehicle that at the time of the stop is being utilized as part of the transportation-based business, Justice Labarga noted. Justice Barbara J. Parente agreed with her colleagues that this is a proper interpretation of the U.S. Supreme Court precedent. But she noted that this was the case in which a black man was being interrogated in his neighborhood in the morning hour against his will on a thin pretext. When a traffic stop does not give the rise and need to question passengers or risk for their identification, I fail to comprehend why the interrogation of passengers on matters unrelated to a traffic stop, so long as those inquiries do not measurably extend the duration of the stop, does not intrude on the Constitution guarantee to be free from unreasonable search and seizure, she wrote. Here's a copy of this case, Presley versus Florida, which was released on September 20th, 2017. And it's interesting, you talk about the Fourth Amendment rights and all that good stuff. But I see the question, probably one of his biggest errors, even though he's on probation, he should still remain silent. So that's a question on that, on the Fifth Amendment U.S. Constitution, or we can use Article 1, Section 9 of the Florida Constitution. So just keep that intact. But I will read that in a moment as well. And of course, when they actually have, these legitimate questions, the other mistake was made during a traffic stop. It happens all the time. We get this habit, we have to get hand the license and all that. This is just a traffic infraction. So the person made a claim that he ran a stop sign, okay, and because he had a faulty tail light. So that is one of those areas. But one thing you have to realize, my friends, is there's a lot more than that. The biggest mistake probably that person made was the person was like, roll down the window, ask all these questions, and tell them where they're going. That's part of their investigation. And that's why you do have the right to remain silent, period. You don't have to say a word. Okay, you pulled me over for a traffic stop, you're asking me more questions. My response would be, hey, with all due respect, what is the nature of this investigation? And if not, I have the right to remain silent, which is legit. So that's one of the areas you have to observe. And of course, they use this Anglo versus state. So the whole thing is they use the president was on probation. That was maybe those conditions. I don't know what the rest of it has to say in those areas. So technically, I don't know, he could be a free person. But one thing for sure, so there's always a lot more what's going on. But the truth of the matter is, people have to really look at this a lot more thorough. And of course, it says here about Article 1, Section 12 of the Florida Constitution, Declaration of Rights, shall be construed in conformity with the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. United Country that's interpreted by the United States Supreme Court. Articles of information and obtained in violation of this shall be admissible in evidence if such articles of information will be admissible under the decisions of the United States Supreme Court, construing the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So right there, and of course, Presley and I think I goofed up here. Hold on, sorry about that, friends. But you always got to look at things a lot more than what it is. But they made that decision, and some people may find it disappointing, but always got to see conditions. And of course, they had just a review of that. And we just go a little bit down further about Supreme Court presidents. Of course, they use that as well. But there's a link for that on his site. Definitely check it out. And like I said, it's people can say, look at. They can say what they want, but the folks who are involved or being detained got to know their rights as well. That's the one thing. It's been an error, a falter. Too many people, they just let them in the house and they don't know why, and they arrest somebody. Well, they violate my rights. Oh, you let them in. Well, you're tired. Well, you got the story. You let your guard down. When it comes to governmental entities or governmental delegates, respectfully, yeah, you gotta be vigilant. I'm not going around bashing the police or anything like that. But you gotta know what your rights are. You're not some bellboy, number, peasant, or slave. A lot of people think they're slaves. If they say you're a slave, they'll give you a guilt trip. It doesn't work like that. These people gotta learn. Stop acting like feeling sorry for yourselves. But yeah, I will add that is in the link, and so and some people make these things here. You're a slave, don't even know it. If you think you're free, does this prove it? No. Like I said, you got to read everything first before making those comments. As far as I'm concerned, Presley made a mistake. He probably had an opportunity to not say anything, and in addition, I'm going to add this fairduy.org. It's very similar. Not because I'm not saying the driver is highly intoxicated or anything like that, but this is good general practice. All right, it says here it's a website, and it has a flyer you can post up. It goes, I remain silent, no searches, I want my lawyer. Please put any tickets under the windshield wiper. I'm not required to sign it, which is under statutes 318.14 subsection 2. I am not required to hand you my license, which is under Florida statutes 322.15. Thus, I'm not opening my windows. I will comply with clearly stated lawful orders, not unlawful. You don't have to step out of the car if it's a minor traffic, regular traffic stop. So you can do all that, and it's really good. It's real good information. It's like I said, it's not just, like, I'm not endorsing being under the influence of anything. However, you trying to, the whole thing is you got the state trying to fish people in. So you got these illegal checkpoints. So why be nice and courteous? Why be nice and friendly with them? You should be vigilant and courteous. That's how I look at it. So I'm definitely gonna add that to it. All right, just give you guys some good information. And he has an actual book on this too, a DUI book, which I'm just gonna look that up here. But like I said, it's always gotta look. You're innocent to proven guilty, not the other way around. But you got the state trying to make it say guilty to proven innocent. But at this time, you got to tell them to stick up their rear end in an honorable way, in a methodical way. So definitely, you can always check this stuff out, because one thing we know for sure, they want to, like now it's like 0.8 on 0.08, they want to go 0.05. The whole thing is how they're doing it. It's trying to see collecting much revenue as possible. And another thing too, a lot of folks have different health issues, and they still assume you're under the influence of alcohol and anything else. So you have to. The whole thing is very time consuming. Like I said before, I don't support driving under the influence. So don't you dare, don't call mad and complain about me, because I'll laugh at you and them as well. One thing, the big lesson here is due process. No person, as Article 1, Section 9, which is related to the Fifth Amendment, but we're going under state's constitution. No person shall be deprived of life or property without due process of law, or be twice put in jeopardy for the same offense, or be compelled in any criminal matter to be a witness against oneself. So if they ask you questions, if you answer them, you may be incriminating yourself. You're giving them ammunition. You do have the right to remain silent. No ifs or buts. Brown versus Texas guarantees that. But those are one of the areas folks got to really look at. So I'm going to add the Florida Constitution on here, so you can actually read this yourselves. I know I did it so many times, but I'd like to thank Michael Schmittner for putting this out. He does some great work, and I'm glad to be his pen pal on Facebook. So we do share information on these areas. And folks, you got your rights. Stand up for your rights. Being a doormat to the state is making you a duped individual. Truth, justice, and the goody two-shoes way when it comes to the system gets you nowhere. You don't achieve anything, and it's going to bite you in the rear when you least expect it. And I say that all in good faith. Well, that's be very sincere. That's what I want to talk about today. So that's really it. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. But feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you may send me something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com, FutureNet.club, Patreon.com/LowKeyLuck3, with 3 eyes. If you want to be my patron, donor, and all that, that'll be fantastic. Furthermore, you could get me on Gab, G-A-B, which is like a free speech version of Twitter, because it looks like some of these big, social media giants are trying to suppress people's speech. Which is Gab, Gab.ai. You can follow me there as well. That would be cool. In addition, you can email me at LowKeyLuck3@gmail.com, or two encrypted ones, LowKeyLuck03@protonmail.com. Well, that's all for now. I'm going to be talking about. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is helpful for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love. Ooh, may your guardian spirits be with you.